March 2022, massive wedding. Basically spent nearly a month island hopping in the Maldives. Beautiful wife, beautiful home, making very good money. And was also just going, I'm pretty unhappy. It was kind of a bit like, is this it? I think I'm capable of more. May 2022, I was at like the lowest point anyone could possibly be. And Claire supported me through that. Had Claire not supported me, stopping drinking alcohol, starting to train for stuff, get in shape, make better, healthier lifestyle decisions, like this would not be impossible. I wouldn't have any of the stuff or the lifestyle that we have today without Claire. Where we were there to where we are now, over 6 years, is insane. I don't know why I get so emotional, but it's I could not run a mile, like, without stopping. Very unfit, overweight, fat. I knew I could be doing more. What if we kind of removed the handbrake and got into third, fourth and fifth gear? Like, what's possible? It's just consistency. And it's just like going from being able to run for like 5 minutes to 7 minutes to 10 minutes to half an hour. And then all of a sudden I was standing on the start line, marathon to start going, holy shit, how the hell am I here? Just go from checkpoint to checkpoint the whole way through. But it was all of the work over the last 4 years to get to that point, to get to the start line. Even if I had never have done it, I've learned heaps throughout those like daily, weekly, monthly reps. If you do anything for 2 years consistently and have low expectations, you will be absolutely delighted with the outcome. Well, if I could do this and it's not that bad, I wonder what else I could do.
What if the hardest challenge in the world wasn't crossing the desert, but becoming the man capable of starting? For this one, I'm joined by Ivor Stratford, who recently completed a 270k ultramarathon across the Sahara in the Marathon des Sables. But this conversation goes far deeper than endurance. We explore how he went from being unable to run a mile, stuck in old habits and chasing external success, to building momentum, discipline, self-respect, and a life aligned with the man he knew he was capable of becoming. This conversation explores potential, consistency, identity, relationships, and what happens when you stop lying to yourself. If you enjoyed this one, support the mission. Please kindly subscribe and leave a review. It helps the show grow, and that means that we can reach more men who are navigating that messy middle of growth and support them in becoming more self-led. Thank you so much. I'm Harison, and this is the Growth Voyage Podcast. Enjoy. Okay, the red light is on. Ivor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you here and to make this happen. 270 kilometers.
Yeah.
8 days.
I was in the desert for 8 days and running across 6 days. There's a lot of downtime as well.
Yeah. Sleeping in the sand?
They call it accommodation. You sleep in a tent or bivouac, which is basically a rug with a roof, wide open. So living conditions were rough.
And carrying everything on your back the entire time?
Everything you need from basically the moment you get into the Sahara, which I think was a Friday afternoon. We left Saturday morning, following Saturday, with 8 days. Everything you need minus water.
And this is one of the toughest challenges out there, certainly known to man, the Marathon des Sables. I'm sure we're going to dive into that a bit later, but what I want to know is, who did you have to become to be able to do that? And there's different planes to this. There's the physical one, in terms of the training, how you manage to get yourself there. But then there's also the mindset side as well, to even think of trying to do such a thing. What did you have to do to become who you are today?
Oh man, it's been a ride. It's just over a week since I completed it, and I look back now at the week I was in the desert, the 8 days, whatever, and go, that was tough, but like, it wasn't that bad. I think a lot of people, I certainly suffer from thinking things weren't as hard as what they were when you look back. So people say it the last couple of weeks, last week, it must have been so hard. I was like, yeah, it's pretty tough, but got it done. You then have to really think about like the last 4 years and what it's taken to be able to do that. Where, I mean, roll back the clock to like May 2022, I could not run a mile, like without stopping. So I think back to that and go, well, that's been quite a journey. I mean, I keep this really short. It's just consistency. And it's just like going from being able to run for like 5 minutes to 7 minutes to 10 minutes to half an hour, so on and so forth. But I think more than that, it's also the like getting up early, just basically doing stuff you don't want to do over an extended period of time. And then all of a sudden, I was standing on the start line of Marathon des Sables going, holy shit, how the hell am I here? This got out of control.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much power in just those small steps, right? And just getting it done each day, even when you don't think you're making that much progress, just getting it done. So much power in that. But where does this shift come from? You said you couldn't run a mile before.
I put everything down to stopping drinking and stopping drinking alcohol. And that allowed and enabled me to become way more consistent in anything. Pre-May 2022, I would be the classic, I've been a member of a gym like my entire life, but I would have 3 weeks where you train 6 times a day, eat nothing but chicken and rice, and you do that for 2 weeks and you're not absolutely massive and shredded. You're like, well, this isn't working, but I'll keep going. And then you go on Friday, and then Saturday, you're like, I'm not feeling 100%. You have then an unhealthy weekend. Monday rolls around, and you're kind of back to square one, or before where you were at square one, whatever that's called. So by removing alcohol and never being hungover, just able to build that consistency. And whether you're going to the gym or going running or whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that I was doing, not every training session, not every workout was great. Most of them were like C- at best, but just over an extended period of time. So that was being the big unlock. It just being super consistent. There's this whole journey. There's more to it than I'm letting on, and happy to share more. But in reality, it's super boring.
Yeah.
Which is not really a great sell, but.
Well, I think that's it. I think people like to find like a secret or a way about doing things. And I think it's easily done, no matter where or how far along you are in your journey. I think you're always going to be looking at, where's this kind of golden nugget that's going to like spur me on.
Yeah. There's probably also a bit of a personality type in there as well. But when I started running and coincided with stopping drinking, I'll be happy to talk about it in a little bit. I did my first 5K run in a race, right? Well, I call it a race. I definitely wasn't competing, but my wife organised near where we live. I came back home and felt absolutely buzzing that I did a thing that I hadn't done for a long time. And my brain went straight to, what's the hardest foot race in the world? And then Marathon des Sables popped up. And that was when I was completely unqualified to be on this website. Looking at this, I had no business there at all. And my wife was probably the first person to know for maybe a couple of years after I looked at that website. And since then, it was just like, I want to do that. But didn't really tell anyone until maybe 18 months ago, and started then saying, I'm thinking about doing this. And then
I think you've touched upon an important point there, not to tell people too early about what your plans or ideas are, especially if you're kind of pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible. Because, hey, if you suddenly introduced that idea to them back then, I mean, how many people are going to meet you with their own self-imposed restrictions, right? And take that kind of belief away. So I think that's an important part of it as well.
Well, there's that, and there's also the way that I understand it that people's brain works. When you tell someone you're going to do something, you get the same like brain chemistry response as if you've actually done it. So it's a great way to, like, people say, like, fake it till you make it. I can't tell you how many people have like, I'm going to start my own business next week. I'm going to enter the London Marathon. I'm going to do this. You see them 6 months later. How's that going? Yeah, well, something came up and it didn't happen and this, that, and the other. I'm just like, okay, cool. It's just another bullshit excuse you keep telling yourself. So there's some other stuff some stuff I may share, some stuff I won't share that I'm working towards and want to do, and will take the same view as I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to work towards it. And then over time, I'll let slip what that is. That being said, I also feel like now I've got some evidence in doing some things like Marathon to Saab that I'm happy. So there's maybe a bit more credibility there, because if I told someone this 4 years ago, this is what I'm working towards, they would have flat out they wouldn't even doubted me. They would just laughed in my face, which was also probably fair enough.
Yeah. And I think you touched upon something there about like building evidence as well, which I think is really important, because as you suggested, I think earlier on in your journey, you're doing the chicken and rice, gymming 6 times a week, not seeing progress, because there is a lack of evidence and you don't necessarily know that you're improving or getting better. I think that's where kind of motivation kind of dies, the consistency kind of fades away as well, if you haven't got that path set in stone. Whereas I think if someone's kind of given you the roadmap, if you like, and said, right, just show up every day and you will get there. And if you believe that, then I think the journey of, as you were alluding to, being bored or boring work, I think it becomes a lot more manageable, I suppose. So what kind of kept you like going throughout that period when you were kind of going on and off? Was it as simple as just cut out the alcohol, because then you've got no more excuses?
I think there was definitely part of it. And if I, again, thinking that sort of like just under 4-year horizon or time period, May 22 to where we are today, it hasn't been do a 5K and then straight into a 270K race. There's been heaps of half marathons and 10-mile runs and marathons and 50K and 50-mile ultras and back-to-back. Like, there's been loads of stuff along the way that's built up to it to get to this point. So that's where, for me, you get that innate internal reward, that kind of dopamine. I did a thing. I feel good about myself. I feel proud of myself. And it just snowballs to just like baby steps. As you zoom out a little bit, it to me looks like quite a transition, but there's been like heaps of wins along the way, but it's still very boring. And I think you mentioned something there about roadmap. Like, nothing in the world today, in my mind, is a secret. Very few things. It's like, you want to keep it on the fitness topic, lose weight or run a marathon. Like, there are countless training plans and resources you can go and look at that will give you all of the answers to the homework. The issue is people start those things and never finish them.
Is there, on that point, is there perhaps an issue where there's perhaps too much information and too many ways about doing things sometimes? Or do you think we overcomplicate it ourselves and we can actually keep things pretty simple?
People's expectation reward system is way out of line with what it should be. So when they start something, expect results immediately with that. Not sure what the phrase is, but expect results in the short term. And that just expectations to results are way out of kilter. If you do anything for 2 years consistently and have low expectations, you will be absolutely delighted with the outcome.
Yeah, well, I guess it ties into your belief system as well. I think you've got to know that if you persist, because I remember even starting out on my entrepreneurial journey, I remember hearing all this stuff and I was like, yeah, cool, just show up daily and do the thing. Then for me, at least, the further along I got in my journey, the more the kind of all those voices started coming in.
I think the entrepreneurial stuff and the business stuff is that's where there's a world where there is heaps of information. I mean, I could probably make a case that all of them make sense, could work. So just pick one or two things. Different ways of doing things, whatever it is. Like, there is also, again, I agree with you. I think there is a case of overcomplicating things. But for me, it's just managing my own expectations.
Yeah, and because I imagine you said there were just an accumulation of wins along your journey, but I imagine there were setbacks as well throughout that. Would you say? And what did that kind of look like, or was it as simple as a case of actually, you know what, I can actually deal with whatever comes my way?
There were definitely setbacks. But again, the sort of in the lead up to 2022, like personal setbacks to how I was feeling about myself and stuff I had to get through and get over and work through myself. So I think it's all relative, like what you define like a setback. There were definitely periods through that time where I also became complacent. I remember doing my first marathon, and a few months later was running a half marathon in a race, and didn't do heaps of running between marathon and half marathon. I don't know what the time difference was. A few months from crossing the London Marathon finish line to a half marathon, and that kicked my ass from a complacency thing. And that was a lesson of just like not letting that happen again.
Well, yeah, getting your ego beaten up a bit in a way. That's interesting, because I always imagined it'd be kind of a lack of confidence that would kind of stall you. And then it's interesting seeing the other side of that, of like, hang on, are you getting too caught up in your own stuff? Basically?
100% I was.
Yeah.
And I needed that.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I perceive it. We kind of need these little kind of like humbling moments in a way to kind of remind us of don't get too ahead of yourself.
There's a phrase I heard from a friend of mine who's a big and very good runner, and I think this applies to literally anything ever, is you get the race you need, not the one you want.
Yeah.
As a kind of like, in that I thought I was going to go and run my half marathon PB. I'm 2 months after London Marathon. I'm high on life and feeling great and all these sorts of things. I remember getting there that morning feeling amazing. And it was terrible from start to finish. And just very humbling. And then you sort of unpick it and go, why did that happen? It's like, oh yeah, I haven't been eating great. I haven't really been training that much. I haven't done much since London Marathon. Yeah, why would I expect it to be anything better than what it was?
Have you always been able to kind of learn the lesson that quickly, kind of take it on board, just like reality check, or has it taken a while for you to kind of learn from what you're experiencing?
Without sounding like a broken record, I think it comes back to like no alcohol, being like clear-headed, good energy, sober. So there is like, you have a lot more time to sit with your thoughts and think about things, and there's no running away from it. Like your ego isn't there. Like, so that again was the big change there. So I haven't always been like that, because before it would have been you'd make up some like bullshit excuse to yourself and, oh, this happened, or blah, blah, blah. And then you just go back to your normal life and you just kid yourself. So just having a whole bunch more time to not run away or hide from what you're thinking or what you're feeling. That was the big change.
So, yeah. So was it pretty obvious to you that it was the alcohol that was holding you back? Had you always had that ambition? Would you say beforehand?
Yes and yes. In summary, I think the kind of like losing weight, going to the gym analogy, that still very much stands. It's like, it's the 1st of January and you're feeling super pumped and you're going to crush all of your goals this year, and you do dry January and you start building a tiny, tiny bit of momentum. And then it stops because like it's February, and it's just, these things come in, you never work towards, I certainly never work towards anything with some intensity, yes, but also with consistency over a long period of time. It's, I was going to get that done, but it's now 5 p.m. on a Friday and I was going to be going out with friends tonight, so I'll do that. Get pissed. Lazy weekend. You kind of forget, and you've lost that momentum that you built in the previous week or the previous month.
How long was this going on for context?
I would say my entire life.
Well, so you would start things and then never
I wouldn't say it's like starting things and not finishing them, because there's lots of things I have started, but it's just that being able to build that consistency and momentum over a period of time. And I'm talking like 6 months to a year of working towards a goal or whatever it is.
Was a big part of that process letting go of other goals and really focusing in on this one thing? So we have your like fitness here, and especially because you come across very ambitious, right? Can it be to your detriment perhaps that, hey, you've got all these different goals and things you want to achieve, but actually if you hone in on the physical side of things, then you can actually make a serious difference? Are there trade-offs that are necessary there, do you think?
It's really interesting. I had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about having like too many competing, conflicting goals, for lack of a better term. How do you prioritize them? It's like, okay, on Monday I do fitness, on Tuesday I do business, on Wednesday I do whatever it is you're doing. Again, you building that consistency and momentum, because I think the two are heavily interlinked. I think that was part of it, but I think it was, for me, I would say that's something that I have struggled with occasionally, but it's just removing, basically being hungover and being low energy.
Interesting. So that was the real, because again, I think the main thing is that you don't have any excuses now.
Yeah, none.
Yeah.
None. And it's also, I think about it like doing things that you don't want to do, or just, when I stopped drinking, it's like, do I want to go out Friday? Yeah, of course I do, because I've been doing that for the last 10 years, or however long it's been. So you've removed that. I'm not saying, and that first Friday I went out and ran 50 miles or went to the gym for 6 hours, because I didn't. Sat on the sofa and ate junk food and watched TV. That's fine. But once you go through that and into the next week, like, I've done something that I didn't necessarily want to do, going back to like stacking evidence along the way, and going, did that for 4 weeks. So it's not, some cases it's about starting things and doing them consistently, or it's stopping things and also doing that consistently. So I think for me, it just boils back to being able to trust yourself.
Where did that drive come from to actually do something about it? And because like you said, there's kind of doing the stuff that you don't want to do, but for you, did you have a why? Like, why are you doing this? Was it strong? Like, it has to be strong enough sometimes to actually want to do it. Or was it as simple as, hey, you know what, I'm just kind of fed up with this situation? Like, what was going on there?
I think it's probably a bit of both. I think I've always been in class myself as like wildly ambitious. You get to a point, I was like, I think just turned 30. And like, I'm not, now my life was insanely good. Still is insanely good. It's amazing. And I'm very grateful for that. Also, I have myself to thank for that. And I don't think enough people give themselves credit for doing things, achieving them and going, I did that. People will say, oh, it's a really arrogant thing to say. I'm like, well, you didn't do it for me. So what do you want me to say? I think it's a case of being, very ambitious and also just frustrated, and started looking around at like friends of mine, and you'd look at like, see people and go, oh, not actually doing that well, and thought we'd all be doing better than that. Like, they're not in great shape. And I look at myself and go, I thought I'd be doing better than what I am, and I'm also not in great shape. Why is that? So I'm not sure I answered the question, but I think it's a blend of like drive and being unsatisfied, and then going, I'm 30 now, we've just got married. I believe and I think I know what I'm capable of, but I'm not demonstrating that to myself. Would I be happy to continue this lifestyle for the next 10 years? And then go, it's another 10 years and I'm not quite happy with what I've achieved and what I've done. How would I feel? You sort of roll it forward and go, yeah, that's, I don't want to do that.
So time to get serious.
Yeah. But, and again, it wasn't like a serious, like overnight, I can talk more about it, but there was some certain things that happened that gave me that sort of like kickstart, like big shot in the arm drive. But it also took time to build that person that would get up and go and do the things you don't want to do, and all the cliche, like running at 5 a.m. and going to the gym on a Friday night and getting up early and working early in the morning till God mid, like all those things. But again, it's also just doing it over an extended period of time.
I think you alluded to like there might be like bigger kind of realizations in your life.
I mean, the crux of it, and to just like really distill it down, March 2022, massive wedding. Basically spent nearly a month island hopping in the Maldives. Beautiful wife, beautiful home, making very good money. And was also just going, I'm pretty unhappy. And I'm pretty unfulfilled with, I wouldn't necessarily say personal life, but just with like me. It was kind of a bit like, is this it? I think I'm capable of more. And just felt everything I'd done up to that point had been achieved in like second gear. What if we kind of, I don't know, say on the car analogy theme, like remove the handbrake and got into third, fourth and fifth gear, like what's possible? So again, it sounds a bit like a cliche, but it's like, am I fulfilling my potential? Was I back then? No. Am I now? No, but I'm getting closer to it.
Wow. Well, that's a really interesting mindset to have, isn't it? Because that situation you've described there, it's like, right, 30s, married, comfortable financially, place. Like this is, for a lot of people, this is like, if I get to that situation, then I will be happy. Was that your mindset before, or were you not really envisioning it that much?
All the time. If we make this much money, if we can buy this, if we can go there, if we can do this, then I'll feel good. Get there and go, that felt like nothing. What's next? What's next? What's next? And chasing things. And it's that, again, I don't know who said this, I'll steal it happily and pass it off as my own, but like you've already hit goals that you thought would make you happy. If you think about that for like 2 minutes, you're like, holy shit, yeah. It kind of meant nothing. And there's definitely like a few monetary personal purchases that I've made, not for a long time, but like when I get that, then it'll be great. And then you do it and you think, oh, that was kind of fun for like 10 minutes. And there's just no like, didn't mean anything.
Well, it's I imagine when you've kind of got this comfortable lifestyle and you have it, you're kind of just, again, that natural instinct to kind of like, hang on, like what is next? Like what's actually going on?
Yeah. And it just felt like it wasn't so much something was missing. It was more that like, I knew I could be doing more. Again, whether that's business, whether that's personally, whether that's physically, I was just kind of doing life on hard mode. So I'm not sure that makes any sense. But it was doing those things like whilst going out and getting drunk and partying at weekends.
I see. Yeah. So what is this like a feeling in your body? Would you describe it, or just like a frustration? Would you say, or perhaps more of it's like I can do so much more? Was it a conversation with yourself?
It's just like an internal frustration of like, this is what I want to do and here's where I want to get to, and you would work towards it and then go out, and then it would sort of like back to square one. It was just never building any momentum.
You said a word there which I think is massive, and is momentum. I think it's actually one of the, if we talk about men generally, I think it's one of the most important pieces. I think it's direction and momentum. And I think without those two things, it's really tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
So again, like just removing alcohol was just another thing to remove as like an excuse or reason why something didn't happen. So I then just started, I say the phrase like accidentally on purpose, started to build that momentum. And running, because I was starting that from as a complete beginner at that point, like very unfit, overweight, fat. It was, what was really nice from a momentum standpoint is you also see progress quickly. Whereas if you are, I don't know, the world's best marathon runner and you're trying to shave off like 30 seconds off a 2-hour time, that requires insane work. To be able to go from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, actually It's very easy.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, a really important shift people can have, because I had a similar insight come through in the gym, even this morning, that like training legs, and the same thing comes through every time. It's like, man, because I've been training for like 10, 11 years, it's like the difference now, because it's progressive overload, you want to lift a tiny bit or have a slightly higher degree of intensity every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like that extra rep or like 2.5 kilos heavier, and it's like the margins are so small.
Yeah.
And some days you won't even get there. So it's going to be like really tough. Whereas like when you start off in the gym example, it's like if you commit to it for like 6 months consistently, 3 times a week with a like half decent training plan, like you're going to see like big growths and big jumps in your lifts, and I imagine in the way you kind of look as well, or perceive yourself, your fitness certainly.
Yeah.
As your story is a great example of, yeah.
And that's why it's hard to get really good at stuff.
Perhaps we can touch upon that shortly too, because especially when you're, I think, an ambitious man as well, and this kind of, I think it alludes to your story a bit. There's never going to be a point where you're like actually satisfied with where you're at. There's always going to be another milestone to hit, and so I wonder if maybe we're not meant to chase. We're certainly not meant to chase happiness, but maybe it's completely detaching from the idea that we do anything in the first place. So there's the reason why we do something. There's got to be another reason why, and perhaps it's in our like DNA in a way to just keep on looking for more. Because if our ancestors never pushed on trying to do more, we most likely wouldn't be here. So maybe it's a sense of, do you know what, I just want to achieve because I want to achieve, and it's not for any other reason aside from that.
Yeah, just why not? Just, again, goes back to Marathon des Sables. I posted a lot about it, and because I raised quite a lot of money and continue to do that. I was very proud of that achievement, which felt good. I think there's also a story or a lesson in there to like a version of me 2, 3, 4 years ago that sees that and go, well, that's actually achievable. I could do that. That's cool. Because he's just a normal guy. All of that being said, had I not done Marathon des Sables, would still be the same version of me that I am today from all of those like daily, weekly, monthly reps over the last 4 years. So yes, achieving things and getting medals and rewards and results and money and stuff is great. But I think I described it the other day as like Marathon des Sables was like almost a bit of a graduation. So that was the fun bit. Like it wasn't that fun. Looking back, it was fun. There were some low and dark moments there. But it was all of the work over the last 4 years to get to that point, to get to the start line. Even if I had never have done it, I've learned heaps throughout those like daily, weekly, monthly reps.
So is the reward your character traits now, would you say, or the person that you are now, as opposed to the actual milestones themselves? Is that the reward? Yeah.
Yeah, who you become again, it's a bit of a cliche, and I feel like a massive phony saying this out loud, but like the person you become during that period of time.
It's fulfilling. It's like, maybe that's the core frustration for a lot of men, is actually how far can I actually push myself? Like I think for a lot of guys, it's actually the biggest fear is like not realizing their potential. Mm-hmm. Certainly for me, it's a big one. It's definitely something I've looked at, and I think it's got me thinking as well about this whole idea of like potential, right, and just how massive it really is. So for yourself now, would you say compared to 4 years ago, are you happy or are you satisfied? How would you describe that shift? And following on from that, has it kind of changed your baseline as well? So What I mean by this is you might have been feeling a certain way there. You've gone on this journey to become the man you know you're capable of becoming. But has that become your norm in a way? Is that kind of just your baseline, or would you feel like your overall energy is kind of different?
Good question. I would definitely say my overall energy is just different now. Again, a cliche, but like I think it's also not trying to add and attach heaps of like self-worth to external things as well. Strip all that away. I've like, again, beautiful wife, great marriage, little dog, like I'm now super happy. So everything else is just a bonus. So had I started Marathon des Sables and not finished it, would that make, I would be disappointed for sure, but I wouldn't say I would be unhappy with myself, because I'm generally like internally happy, whatever that means, but I feel good most of the time. So it's not, I think what I was doing before was chasing financial goals and buying things and like success that society tells you is, if you do that, that's a good thing and you'll feel great, when in reality you never do. So I was attaching a lot of my like happiness and self-worth to like stuff and financial things, and never really meant anything. I still have that drive, like that's still there. But I think it's trying to detach the two a little bit, if that makes sense.
Well, it does beg the question, and I thought about this a lot, right? When you look at this arc, it's like, right, phase one of your life, you kind of go through, and this is what a previous guest kind of alluded to. I kind of liked it, like these 3 stages of life. And it's like, number 1 is like you go for the success, the material stuff. And then number 2, you kind of have like a bit of a wake up call, a bit of a, like, that's where you kind of go deep into yourself, do some deep work, shadow work perhaps, wherever it may be. And then after that, you kind of go on to this kind of 3rd stage, which is kind of a more aligned lifestyle, I suppose, or enlightened, however you want to call it. Mm-hmm. My question to you is, do you think that 1st stage is necessary? So we kind of learn these lessons. Is that an inevitable part of life? Do we kind of have to go through that? Not just to learn the inevitable lessons that come with it, but then also like, hey, you might be unhappy or unfulfilled, but you've got a pretty solid base now, pretty solid fundamentals because of all the work you've done from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, if you're unhappy but you're comfortable, that gives you a solid foundation to then go on and achieve your potential. So is that unconscious suffering necessary, do you think?
I mean, for me, it definitely was. I think unless you get very lucky and you just find your like chosen, desired, perfect path at 18 years old, 21 years old, 25 years old, whatever, I think that is incredibly unlikely. So I think it's just like, everything's pay to play. You just like figure it out. So you have to go through that. I've got some like people that work for me, or I know through different businesses that I'm involved in, that are in their early 20s, mid 20s, hyper locked in on investing all of their spare cash and super optimizing their nutrition and training and sleep and this, that, and the other. And they would ask me that, were you like this in your 20s? I was like, no. Like, it's I was the polar opposite. So now I'm probably more similar to them now. And they're like, what do you mean? And I would tell them how I behaved like in my 20s. They're like, do you regret that? I'm like, no. Like, I had to go through that to be where I am today. So there's no like, again, I earned very good money through my 20s and had zero to show for it because I was going out partying all the time and doing fun stuff. And what was fun back then? Now I look back and go, God, if only I put all that cash into a ETF fund, like how much would that be worth today? Let's do the math on that. And then it's just like, no, I had to do that. It's pay to play. And I just had to go through that.
Yeah. It's interesting because that was part of the reason why I stopped drinking myself back then, was because I was, again, similar. Even I think I just did the math and I'm just like, even if it was just 30 or 50 quid a weekend or whatever, it still adds up. So at the time I was thinking, well, I'm not, so I'll spend 30 to 50 quid on drinks or pints or whatever. But then if I see something I quite like, which is actually going to benefit my sport or my health or whatever, I'm like, oh, it's too expensive. So I'm like, hang on, why am I spending money on this, which is actually poisoning my body, but not on that? It's like a mindset thing, yeah.
I mean, we kind of have a rule at home with Claire and I. There is definitely a limit, but we have like no set budget on anything to do with like health and fitness and wellness. It's like, we want to do that, let's do it. Because you wouldn't think twice about going out for like a boozy dinner and spending way more money than you should on basically unhealthy food and alcohol. But as soon as it's like, I don't know, supplements and nutrition, it's expensive, like organic meat. It's like, no, it's a lot cheaper than stuff you were buying. Just back to the non-drinking thing. There's a heap I learned through that. But the biggest thing was just being like learning to be super comfortable in your own skin. And the first 6 months is when you were going out and say, I'm not drinking. I've stopped. I'm taking a break or whatever, however you want to phrase it. And when you're able to do that time and time again, those reps, and to be, through certainly my social circle and the demographic that I hung around with, to be a bit of an outcast and to distance yourself from that and to get comfortable being different and weird, because it is for a guy in London in their 20s and 30s, 40s, whatever. But be able to do that, it goes back to that stack of evidence. And then you'd have more like self-respect for yourself.
Well, it's staying true to your word and doing the things that you say you're going to do. So if you tell yourself you're not going to have a drink and you end up having one, that's a lot more damaging than if you own the fact that you're going to drink almost. And
I think people, sorry to jump in, I think people lie to themselves. People lie to themselves more than they lie to other people, which doesn't make any sense. People are more likely to keep a word to some random person or a friend they've known for a few years than themselves. I'm going to go to the gym at 6 a.m. on Monday, or I'm going to pick someone up from the airport on Wednesday. What is a more likely thing to happen?
That's the airport.
It's crazy. And people like bin themselves off and prioritize other people.
Yeah. And I think this happens a lot of the time. They don't even realize that it's happening. And I'm saying, because I'm talking from personal experience here. Like sometimes it's obvious. Like the pub example, for example, I remember being asked to go to the pub and I wouldn't drink and I was called boring or whatever, but whatever, like that's pretty obvious if I started drinking to please someone else. But no, there's a lot of little nuances here. Just making time for other people when you won't even make that time for yourself.
Yeah.
Certainly something I'm working, even now I'm still working on. Putting me first, because if I don't, then everything else will suffer anyway. Yeah.
It's just a discipline thing. But yeah, I definitely haven't cracked it. But I still find myself most days will be late at night on my laptop responding to messages, text messages, emails, Slack messages, to people that probably aren't. A lot of them maybe in the US, so they may read it that day. I'm like, I really need to get to bed because I've got an early start. I'll just do this. And then you find yourself like not prioritizing yourself and just being sort of like your time controlled by, it's easy to go, your time is then controlled by like, oh, it's controlled by my phone or by other people. It's just like, no, that's bullshit. That's you.
I love this. I love this kind of just self accountability really. It's like, it's easy to blame the phone and, but I've got all this stuff going on. It's like, yeah, but can you be strong enough to just go, and I really relate to that. All right, you know what? It's 9:30, just to sit down for an hour and read my favorite book, before bed. I sat with myself the other day. I was like, man, I need to do that more often rather than, as you were saying, just like replying to stuff like, okay, cool, I could use this hour to catch up on admin. So, let's change this. I love that you said it's actually on us to kind of make that happen.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this from a place of like, I've got it cracked, I do this every day. In the sense of like, I have that kind of conversation, argument with myself. Like, I'm so busy, I'm so important, I have to do all these things immediately, blah, blah, blah. And And then you go through those, like, if I don't do this now, then this could happen. And you play out these like made up scenarios. It's like, I'm in full control of what I do with my time, as is everybody else. Most people have jobs, so they can't decide, I want to go swimming at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday because they might get sacked or whatever. So there's a limit to it, but like people have way more control than what they realize.
Yeah, for sure. And what I'd like to allude to on the idea of kind of like self-responsibility and looking after yourself, and I think just the way you carry yourself now, was it just the alcohol that kind of contributed to these kind of character shifts? Because you mentioned you've got a wife there, and very often I quite like in the kind of self-improvement space, a lot of the ambitions start off actually wanting a girlfriend and wanting a partner. And then I think to get there, we've got to kind of do work on ourselves to become the man that we need to be to then attract that into our lives. So what was that journey like for you in that regard? Were you always, I sense that you've always been ambitious to a degree. So have you always been like that? And how much of aside from all this other stuff, what had to change internally for you to then attract this woman into your life as well?
I would say, I've been wildly ambitious from as long as I can remember. I remember the morning after, and obviously I had my own business then, I was doing pretty well when we met, but I vividly remember the Monday morning, we met on a Sunday afternoon, the Monday morning going, I've got to get my shit together. So there was a bit of a drive there. I still think things need to come internally. You can't just constantly do stuff for other people, but that was a bit of like a wake-up call. I was like, I know how I felt. It's hard to describe. So that was definitely a kickstart to go to the next level. And like vividly remember my drive to the office on that Monday morning. And that continued, and it has continued today. Like, again, I've had some challenges back to like 2022 that she supported me through massively, which I'm insanely grateful for. And I was thinking about this when I was in the desert the other week. I was like, from lockdown, so March 2020 to just over 6 years, I think I texted this that evening. We didn't have loads of phone battery or signal, like 6 hours from any kind of civilization, but where we were then, like in every aspect of our life to where we are now over 6 years is insane. Like the difference. And 6 years isn't really a particularly long period of time. I don't think. If you said like you can change your whole world in 6 years if you just do these things, whether that's like physically, financially, got married, bought a bigger house, lifestyle, places we've been to, experiences we've been to, trips we've been on, you list it all out and go. And again, this was during like the 100k run day. So you have a lot of time to think. And I was like trying to map it out like month by month. What were the kind of like, I don't know, milestones is maybe not the right word, but like, what did each month look like? And you break it down and go, whoa, that's been an awesome 6 years. So that was quite a fun, like, little exercise to go through. I'm not sure I answered the question, but
well, it sounds like you grew together, and which is interesting because I think a lot of the time, again, coming back to this idea of like the finished article, and that men feel as though they have to be, but I think it's also important to mention that you can actually grow with somebody else, right?
100%. Yeah, and I've had this conversation with Claire a few times where some of the stuff I'm doing in business or companies that I'm involved in, or some of like the financial success that we've had, or Marathon to Saab and getting into shape, and even Claire's friends going to her going, God, Ivor's doing really well, isn't he? And I'm just like, this is like, yes, I am, but none of this would have been possible without you. God, I don't want to get so emotional, but it's like it's a team thing. And the last thing about Marathon des Sables, like, had Claire not supported me stopping drinking alcohol, starting to train for stuff, get in shape, make better, healthier lifestyle decisions, like, this would not be impossible. Well, I know plenty of friends out there that if they said to their girlfriend or partner or fiance, wife, whatever, they would get shot down, or they wouldn't get the support that I've had. In which case, if someone came to me and said, "Oh, trying to, you seem really happy," and I mentioned it to so and so that I'm going to do this, and they said, like, they've been shot down, like, would you recommend? I was like, I would put them in the bin immediately.
100%.
Way easier to say, by the way, than actually do. So if you're living with someone, but so I wouldn't have any of the stuff or the lifestyle that we have today without Claire.
Yeah, well, I love that, because I think, as the saying goes, I think behind every successful man there's a woman by his side, a strong woman, and it certainly sounds like she was that support for you. And man, I can really relate to this idea of, like, just being able to be vulnerable with somebody and just share that kind of side to you, and almost lean on someone, which isn't in our instinct as a man. But man, it always surprises me with my partner when again, her support and just no judgment at all, and just kind of being there, man. It's I think if you haven't experienced that, you won't realize it's possible. I certainly didn't. I was like, man, no chance in hell would I even show that side to me. But it's quite something, and I wonder if that's been a journey for you to kind of actually, like, open up more and show that side to you.
Yeah, massively. Like, I wouldn't say I'm that vulnerable externally. Different things that I do, but I am at home. I also, when I go home, like, fundamentally, she doesn't give a shit. Like, she just doesn't care. Like, whether things are going really well, whether they're not going well, or whether I'm going to work towards this thing or do that. She's just like, what should we have for dinner? Do you want to drive and get a coffee and like some, like, naughty treat from a bakery? Like, this just doesn't care. Now, all the, like, success of the last couple of weeks and other things that are going on, it's like, that's cool. And she's like, says how proud she is and all these sorts of things. But I think in reality, like, just like having fun together. Like, that's it. Everything else is just, like, nonsense and noise. Like, I love having goals and things I'm working towards, and will continue to do that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's all made up. Doesn't necessarily, I want it to happen. For me, part of it does need to happen. Because I think it just keeps me on track and keeps my brain focused. But at the same time, I don't think she values me, like, higher or lower, depending on, like, did I do a good thing or get something. Which takes all the pressure off. So you can just, like, have fun with it.
Well, I think this is, again, why, because I remember hearing a lot about this stuff and how men are, like, generally speaking, looking at the data and stuff, men are, I think, unfairly judged on their wealth or money and how much they provide. And then I think with women, they're unfairly judged on their aesthetics. Mm-hmm. So I really see the value in kind of growing together, when you perhaps haven't in your head, quote unquote, made it, but we're kind of building something together, still figuring life out. And again, able to kind of, I think life can be quite serious sometimes. And I think, as you've alluded to, if we're able to kind of create those fun moments and just, like, that's really what we all kind of just want to experience, really.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time in the US, so I definitely see that, like, more so there than the UK, how women are attracted to men who make over a certain amount of money per year. And the rightly or wrongly, the trade is often what people look like. So the more money people have, often they will be after someone that looks a certain way or whatever. That was definitely not the case for Claire and I. When we met, I didn't really have any money and she was hot. So I guess I had some catching up to do, if that is the case. But it also really wasn't. Like, again, we have a very nice lifestyle and we do nice things. But if that was, like, taken away, I generally don't think she would give a shit. which is cool.
Yeah.
We obviously don't want it to be taken away, but yeah, it's not the be all and end all.
Well, you'd have each other, so you'd work it out either way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like we've been to and done some amazing things and been to amazing places. I love going to Nando's in my tracksuit bottoms, flip flops, and a hoodie. Like, and we have just as much fun there as what we do in a very expensive restaurant. There's no difference. We're just together eating food.
Has it been quite a journey? Because again, six years.
We've been married for 4. We met in 2018. I just used COVID as like a line in the sand, just like when the world stopped spinning. Whereas before that, it's just hard to put like a time and reference date on anything that happened.
Messed up.
You sort of say, oh, we went to that place in 2019. It's like, no, we went there in 2017 or whatever. So we met in April 2018. So it's been 8 years.
8 years. And how's that journey been, right? Because I think when people are listening to this, they might think like, oh, wow, they've got such a strong partnership. It's so beautiful. And they might be even dreaming of something similar. But I imagine it's taken a while to get there for your relationship. I mean, you tell me, have there been kind of doubts along the way, and or did you kind of always know that this was going to work out, even if it was challenging at times?
It's definitely been challenging. I mean, we didn't go into as much detail as I should have earlier, but like in May 2022, I was at like the lowest point anyone could possibly be, and Claire supported me through that. But I guess in the same breath, well, I also supported myself through that, and I had to get through it, not just with someone else's support. I had to do it as well. But like there was the lowest point I could have possibly been. So I genuinely, like there was a period there where I didn't know what was going to happen or how things would play out. But we do talk about it. I'm glad things got to that point because it helped us like rebuild together. So yeah, there's definitely been challenges and low moments in this sector. It is not all sunshine and rainbows. And it requires like daily, weekly, monthly work, commitment, showing up, how you prioritize things, being really open, transparent. Like we've probably just slacked on it a little bit recently. Also like showing gratitude and being grateful for each other, stuff that happened in the week. We had this, I don't know why we stopped. I think because I was traveling a lot, but for 2025, Sunday nights, we had this, we haven't been through it yet. We probably should do this like jar in the kitchen of like post-it notes. At the end of the week, we just basically write down like what we're grateful for of highlights of the week. So that, again, like it's so trivial, and I sound weird when I say these things out loud, but we're doing that. And even like what you think is like the shittest week ever, you look at it and go, Jesus, that was wicked. We did loads of cool stuff. Went to Nando's, got pizza, took the dog for a walk. Like all the stuff that you think is a disaster, you don't really care about. And all the stuff that you think is the massive success, you also don't care about. You end up listing off like things that most people will think are pretty trivial. So yeah, it definitely hasn't been sunshine and rainbows, but for the most part, it's been amazing.
Awesome. And I imagine that might be a learning experience as well, balancing your high ambition with also making time to enjoy life and do the silly things. Perhaps has that been a journey for you, especially like growing a business, right?
Yeah, it's a daily battle. There is no secret sauce to it. Like there's days when, again, a lot of the business I do is in the US, so I can be on calls at home in the office until late into the night, into the next day. That's not uncommon. It's just trying to make time for each other. And then when there is time, using it to do stuff together. I think I've been good at this for the last couple of years, but like walking through the door, not being on the phone, just making time for each other. And it goes back to earlier, like I'm so busy, so many people are like sort of like fighting my time. That sounds really like arrogant, but stuff I need to do, stuff I need to get done. Sorry, I haven't got time to have dinner with you this evening, or do this, or I need to cancel this. That has happened. That will continue to happen. But only because if I let it. Like on Monday night, I was meant to have, again, very trivial example, been in London, getting in at 8 o'clock and then calls from like 8 till 10:30. Just like, no, not tonight. Cancel. That was the worst thing if I push something back a day. What's the worst thing that happens? That customer doesn't work with us ever again. So what? Let's get another one. It's that simple. It's all like the bullshit excuses people keep telling themselves. I know I tell myself.
Yeah, well, it's interesting the way you even reframe that. It's kind of like stepping outside of this fear mindset in a way, and then having that abundance. Like, okay, do you know what? If this person's not a customer, then fuck it, I'll find somebody else. Yeah. That's something which I imagine you've had to cultivate as well, right? Like how much of us kind of can live in fear, or allow other bits of noise.
Like way too much. And again, like I mentioned, they're not being that vulnerable, but I guess in times there are, like, I will say, hey, you need to push this to next week. I've been traveling all week and I haven't seen my wife, having dinner with her this evening. If someone had an issue with that, then you can get in the fucking bed. There is not one customer we work with that will have an issue with that. Or if it's someone on the team or an employee or someone.
It's funny the kind of narratives we play in our head sometimes.
Yeah.
The stories we create.
It's all made up. Everything, the amount of stories I find myself doing all the time today. Every day. Like these, you have to be really like cognizant and mindful when you catch yourself like, well, if I do this, what will that person think? And then a knock-on impact, and then they won't like me, and then blah, blah, blah. Sort of just making everyone's their own worst enemy. Trying to find yourself or catch yourself avoiding those things. And again, I used to do it like completely cutting alcohol. It's like, I haven't been drinking for a while. I'm feeling really good. I'm enjoying being back in the gym and training and just have more energy, more upbeat, all those sorts of things. Oh no, I've got this at work event tonight and I have to drink because I'm going to a work event. Says who? Who said that? No, because like if you don't go, this is the conversation I would have had myself back then. No, if I go to that and then not drink, people think I'm weird. And I won't be able to socialize. I won't be able to talk to people because I won't have that Dutch courage. All these sorts of things that you just tell yourself. So you go there and then you have like 8 pints for no reason. And now since I've hosted, maybe not hundreds, but a huge amounts of like customer dinners and events and things like that, where I don't drink at all. And actually no one cares. The people that do care so again, going back to the bullshit story you keep telling yourself, the ones that do care and do notice it, oh, you're not drinking? No, not tonight, or I stopped, or whatever it is. Oh, amazing. I've been thinking about doing that. I wish I could do that. Well, you can. I did it. So the people that do care and do pay attention is more from a positive angle than negative. Yeah,
well, you become the example for others to live by.
Yeah.
As you've kind of demonstrated throughout this whole interview, man. And even on that point as well, I think there's almost an advantage to kind of when you do go to events sober, you actually get a feel for people's energy.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you an advantage over people in a way.
It's an unfair advantage. And also certain events where this wasn't my intention for like stopping drinking alcohol, by the way, but there have been other added benefits. I think you have more respect for yourself. I think people have more respect for you, and they treat you differently because you're not just doing the same as everyone else.
But this again, it ties in with like even you doing this challenge recently, and again, it's cliche, but I think it's so true. I think you've got to be willing to do things that the majority of people won't do, and whether it's waking up early and getting the reps in, doesn't even have to be a marathon or an ultra marathon or whatever. But I think it's kind of true in a way. And I think we go through like different seasons in life where we're kind of a bit more. The ambition's always going to be there in the background, but I think it's more front of mind. There's more drive in certain seasons of our life. And I recall having that conversation with myself. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of drifting into normality, which happens. But then I'm like, man, I'm getting up at this time and I'm going to the gym and it's busy. It's like, okay, what if I, and it's just like, and it's busy, and there I am projecting onto everyone else because I didn't wake up early, and it's like, well, rather than complaining about all of that, maybe it's time I kind of step things up a bit. Maybe go back to the 5 a.m. wake ups, and then I can't complain because I'm not doing the same as everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the narrative you keep telling yourself, or I keep telling myself. And how do you change that? That takes time to change. But I think that super early part of the conversation is that evidence that you keep stacking up. I had a message from someone this morning, like, congrats on your achievement. Like, I couldn't even run a half marathon. And I've responded saying, that's your problem. Like, because you just told yourself you can't do it. I told myself these reasons why I couldn't do things, and I could never do that because I haven't got time, because I'm so busy trying to build this business and I'm working all the time, and then I need to see my friends and go out and party the weekend, so I could never do that. Like, says who? Again, it's just the same thing you've been telling yourself.
Yeah, and this is why I think we've just got to be so aware of the story that we are telling ourselves. So once you've got the awareness, then you've got a choice.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think, awareness piece is super, super important. Before we dive into the closing traditions of the podcast, I want to know what was the coolest insight, or like the biggest voice you got during these 8 days in the desert, like when you were going through this challenge. Like, what was the narrative playing on in your head? So I can't imagine it wasn't as simple as kind of just having a jolly time.
There were some highs and lows. I guess the biggest narrative or win I took from it, when you are on one of the rest days, we've done by this point like over 200k. The 100k day, you get 40 hours to do it, because some people would run half of it and then sleep in a tent. So a tent's dotted around the desert. You could stay in at different checkpoints. I was adamant to get it done. No stopping, don't sit down, don't sleep, just get it done and then go to bed that evening. Then we have a rest day. I was like, that day I'm going to chill out and do some washing and laundry in a big empty 5-litre bottle of water and all these sorts of things. But yeah, without going too off topic, that day was rough because we had a massive sandstorm. So the whole plan we had for that day as a tent to like do this and do that, we're just thrown out the window. Any kind of storm, but certainly a sandstorm, there is no scheduled finish time. So you are just getting battered by the elements. And that happened, it lasted for about 6 hours. But you don't know when it's gonna finish. But yeah, I think the biggest insight was, oh, if I could do this and it's not that bad, I wonder what else I could do. That's one of them. I think the other is everything else and this won't last forever, but everything else for an extended period of time will be, I can't be bothered to do that. Oh no, remember when I've run that 270k through the Sahara Desert in the heat and the sand with all the stuff on my back? I think I can probably do this thing I've been putting off. So it just gives you a real, like, I don't know, balance of what is possible and what I can do. So it makes everything else seem pretty easy. Yeah, there were loads.
Yeah, you got to really sit with that, haven't you? Because it's like, man, like, how much stuff are we kind of putting off? And maybe that's because the first step is actually so small that we don't actually end up doing it. There's this, and even that storm example, it's like, what's actually harder? Is it running through the storm, or is it the idea of running through the storm?
Well, the hardest day in my mind was the day where I didn't have anything to do. Just sit in the tent and just get battered by the sand all day, and you've got everything wind whistling around, stuff blown over. You are entirely covered in sand. You don't know how long it's going to last for. Like that was more mentally taxing than, I'd say, all of the runs apart from the 100k day. Oh. But the living conditions were tough. But the other thing that we got in on the Friday, by the Sunday evening, and I had been very sick all weekend, I spent the Saturday afternoon in the medical tent. So at one point I didn't think I was even starting the race. And I've made quite a song and dance about this, like raising money and posting about it. I'm laying there being like violently sick, and on the Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, I'm like, shit, I'm not even going to be at the start line. This is going to, and I fortunately did get there. But I think the other big like realization I had is humans adapt to we certainly did. You adapt to your environment real quick. Within 40 hours, you're like, I live here now. and all of your luxuries have been taken away, like air conditioning, chairs, cutlery, a bed. You're literally sleeping on a sand-covered rug I bought the lightest sleeping bag I could because of the weight issues. So my sleeping bag was like sleeping in a packet of crisps. It provided no warmth. But after 2 days, you're just like, it is what it is. You just get used to it.
You do. Again, it seems to me like the biggest crisis we face is comfort.
Yeah.
In today's generation, man. You said something there that really hit me. It was like we adapt to our environment so quickly. And you mentioned there, but man, that can apply to so many different things, you know, where we're living, who we're speaking to. Man, and I think that's one of my fears as well. Because I was not originally, but I was outside of the UK for a year traveling. And when I came back, one of my fears was like actually coming back and just being exposed to a different environment to what I'm used to. And then the types of conversations happening around me, suddenly it's, I'm not overhearing entrepreneurs talking about some exciting idea. I'm overhearing someone complaining that they've removed benefits or something, or about the government and all this noise. I'm just like, am I like, do you know what I mean? It's a real, yeah.
But yeah, I think the same is true in terms of adapting to your environment on the way up and on the way down. I mean, like, knock on wood, I don't want to go to prison anytime soon, but off the back of that experience, like if you end up in a place where you do not want to be living, you adapt to it very quickly. But the same as if you go from living in a not particularly glamorous or desirable location in a small apartment in some horrible part of, I don't know, London or something, and then to living in like a £6 million house. Within the first couple of days, it's going to be amazing. Like, whoa, look at this place. And then 3 weeks later, friends come around. They're like, God, this place is amazing. You're like, yeah, it's all right. I live here. But just the same is true. Where were you living?
So I was traveling in Bali in Australia. Yeah. It was Bali, especially. There was like a entrepreneurial community there. So very like-minded. And, you know, like I just recall every conversation I'd have, like they're telling me about their business. And I'm like, oh wait, you could do this, you could do that. And I could feel my brain expanding.
Yeah.
And then Australia, it was maybe it's just a place I was in, but it was kind of similar, just very like positive mindset, and I kind of thrive off that, and it's so important for me. So what I've been trying to work on is, okay, can I maintain that? But I can kind of, wherever I go, I can kind of again, it all comes down to myself, really. Like, it's up to me what environments I place myself in and stuff. So I guess you're thinking.
I spend, again, a huge amount of time once or twice a month in the US, predominantly New York, and with founders and investors and entrepreneurs and people that are also outside of that are going backcountry skiing and climbing mountains and running ultra marathons and training for just generally doing what I think are pretty cool, impressive things. So that's my insight into the US. In the UK, I think everyone is miserable, downbeat, complaining, the weather sucks, blah, blah, blah. It's the worst place in the world. But going back to what I said earlier, into like drink my own Kool-Aid, like, is that true, or is that just a story you're telling yourself? Because those people will exist in both locations. They may just be higher density in other places and other locations, which may not be untrue. But it's also, what do you want to pay attention to?
Well, yeah, we create our own reality. Absolutely. And again, that was the conversation I had to have with myself. It's like, hang on, you know this stuff. Like, whatever you focus on is going to grow. You know, so what can you do to? Yeah.
Where are you going to spend time? If you go to, I don't know, certain places are going to be more positive. So I love going to the gym. We've thought about like having a small gym built at the end of our garden. I'm like, no, I like going to the gym to be around other people that are doing the same thing. But if you went to like a mid-range busy cafe and you would try to find the people complaining in the conversations, you would hear them because they'd be sitting this side of you. But then it's the next side. It's just like someone else talking about, they just sold their company for 200 million. But you hear what you're focusing on. We hear what you want to hear.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Again, I think, I can't remember who said this, but I can go and have a terrible, miserable day for absolutely no reason. just because I decide that's what I'm going to tell myself today. But by that logic, I could also have a pretty good day today for no reason, just because I'm going to tell myself that's going to happen. Which again, seems mental, sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but I think is absolutely true.
100%, yeah. And again, this is why I'm just so protective now over what I'm consuming and how much noise there is and what goes on into my kind of subconscious mind, for sure. Yeah, and it's a discipline, just like all this other stuff. Again, I've probably going to the gym, what we consume as well. And it seems like from my conversation, you've kind of nailed that. It's always going to be a work in progress, but
oh yeah, I definitely haven't cracked it. Like, in my mind, I'm still like super early in the way that I'm living my life now. But what you're consuming thing, like you obviously look after yourself, and I'm sure eat like a pretty healthy, clean, nutritious diet. But people do that and then go and spend 2 to 6 hours a day consuming like junk content on TikTok about how messed up the world is. And I find myself doing it all the time. Again, I have to like stop myself from doing it. So it's, you spend all your time like lifting or running or training and eating only the most organic, nourished ingredients, but then you're going to go and spend 6 hours on YouTube watching like junk and then wonder why you're not in a great mood. Go figure. Again, I do. I know it because I do it, and I have to stop myself from doing it.
Yeah, it's really funny, isn't it? You kind of I've had this conversation with people as well. Like, you'll have certain areas of life, especially if you're ambitious, where it's like, yeah, like I'm cracking this. Like for me, jiu-jitsu, gym, it's getting done. Like it's just done. No negotiation. Whereas, hey, you got to sit in front of your laptop now, and you've got to go and do this, and it's like, oh, okay, and right. Now you feel a degree of discomfort. Are you going to go for a walk, or are you going to go on YouTube for 5 minutes? It's those little, and again, those are the wins really, which seem so small in the moment, but compounded in slight day.
Yeah, but I would say I'm very good at playing tricks on myself. So if I come obviously running, I'm just going to go and run 1 mile, and I know if I go out my house down my lane and go left or right, I know the exact. I could point to the leaf on the tree that's the 1 mile point. What I'll do is I'll just go there and then I'll go home. But as soon as you start, you're like, this is actually okay. So it's like, I've got loads of work I need to do this afternoon that I do not want to do. Some of it is insanely boring. But it's like, if I can just do 10 minutes work, I'll treat myself to a nice coffee with my like coffee machine at home. And once I start it, I'm like, it's actually right. But it's like, I know I'm lying to myself. I'm only going to do 10 minutes. I'm going to time box it. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to do the bare minimum. And then when you start, you just like, I'm here now. So same as like going to the gym. Like, I'll go to the gym and I'm just going to go and do 1 rep. And then I'll treat myself to a sauna and a nice protein shake. You get on the gym floor, you're like, oh, I'm here now. I may as well do like a 1 set. I may as well do actually just like warm up. May I do 4 working sets of this. And all of a sudden you've been there for like over an hour. You're like, I'm done now. So again, like you can definitely tell yourself this bullshit narrative, but I also think sometimes contradicts everything I said earlier. It's healthy to lie to yourself if you know it helps you get stuff done.
Yeah, pick your lies.
Yeah, I quite like that. I'm going to steal
that. Yeah. What ties in with what we were saying before about keeping promises to yourself. So which lies are you gonna? Yeah, like that.
Yeah, because
you can have that one.
If you're going, what day is it today? Wednesday. You're going to go and train legs on Wednesday morning and not be able to walk properly for the next 24 hours. And do that first thing in the morning. You're going to bed. Can I be bothered to do that tomorrow? No, I'd probably prefer to stay in bed and just eat a croissant and got other stuff on that day. You just make up stuff, make up reasons why you're not doing things. Rather than just go, I'll just drive there and get to the door. And then I can go home. My goal is to go. And if you do drive there, you walk through the doors and then turn around again. I mean, I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to do that because you've like, I'm here now. May as well. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, it's plenty men can learn from your experience and not just your mindset, but I think just your approach to things and the kind of battles that you've endured, and it's got you to where you are today. So it's Yeah, really cool. Really awesome to
Thank you.
hear your story, man. Yeah, really awesome. We'll head into the closing traditions.
Yeah.
There's 3 questions. The first 2 are asked every week. And the third one is asked by a member of the Growth Voyage community. First one's nice and simple. It's a song recommendation.
Okay. It's called Bet On Me by Moray, which my brother introduced me to the other week. It's like a US rapper. And you listen to the lyrics, you're just like, oh, did I write this? I definitely didn't, by the way. Yeah, that would be just because it's what I'm listening to at the minute.
Okay. Wicked. We'll put it in the description. Did you listen to music during your challenge or not?
No.
It's pure, no unneeded dopamine, just raw.
I would have liked to, like full transparency, but phone battery, taking battery pack was like additional weight I didn't want to carry. I did buy a medium expensive solar powered battery pack, which didn't work in the sun. Sahara Desert, sunniest place in the world. So that got binned. So yeah, I didn't have enough battery. So no, just with your thoughts, and also you do talk to a lot of people on the way around.
Yeah.
And you might not covered today, but met some like insane, amazing people. Because it very much self-selects.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Kind of having, again, listening to what's going on, just being, again, it's like meant not disguising the difficultness of it, although I can imagine there were a couple of times where you would have wanted like your favorite track just playing.
Oh yeah, yeah, that would have been helpful.
That would be epic, yeah.
Because also there is like runner's high, and you go through that period where you don't want to be doing this. I want to stop. I want to give up. Like, the best part of running for me is stopping. That's the thing I enjoy most is finishing. I don't particularly enjoy it. But yeah, there were points where having music would have been very useful. But I think it also added to the challenge.
Yeah, because there must have been so many times when you just wanted to stop.
Lots.
So would you kind of like just maybe walk instead of like, or maybe just like slow down the pace sometimes?
I mean, there were points where you couldn't run. Like some of the sand dunes were like 45 degrees, soft sand. You're on your hands and knees scrambling up them. Soft sand could be really soft, and it's like trying to run through like water. There were a couple of moments where like I didn't think I was going to get it done, and wanted to stop. And you hit an aid station or checkpoint. But going back to the thing earlier, and this was on the 100k day, it's like late at night, you're starting to hallucinate, you've been up since 3 a.m. And you're like, I'm not sure I can get this done. And it seems like stuff happened. I had a very bad stomach on that day, stopping just in the sand, doing what you have to do. I had a big thorn go through my foot, and it's like, I can't, what's going to happen next? And it's like, all right, if I'm going to quit this thing, let's quit the next checkpoint. Or he's like, I can't, or you're in the middle, you're like 5 miles away from the next one, or whatever it is. I'll get there. And then like maybe it's time to call it a day. Well, here now. So it's only another 8 miles to the next one, actually. So let's maybe get there. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, it's done now. Cool. And you look back and go, was it hard? Yeah. It's all relative.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other favorite phrase of mine is like, best way to eat an elephant, one spoonful at a time. So like 270 Ks is not, you're not going to do that in one go. And there is stuff out there you do straight through that distance. But certainly in the desert and where we were. So it's just like, just go from checkpoint to checkpoint the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can really break it down into micro steps. Yeah, I can relate to that. Not that scale, but certainly competing in jiu-jitsu and just like being so exhausted, but just like, am I going to make it to the next one? Okay, let me just get onto the mat, and then okay, I'm not even going to try and win this. I'm just going to like just chill, or just, and it's just creating these little baby steps, and then you just, again, you just doing the stuff. Just literally just doing it. That's it.
Yeah. And I'm heading to the gym on the way back after this. And it was like, do I really want to be like that last feeling where you're trying to squeeze out one more rep? Do I want to be doing that now? No. But again, when I get there, start with like baby weights, do a little stretch. Oh, this is actually right. God, I'm so strong. Look at me with these 4 kilo dumbbells. And then you build your way up to it. You don't jump straight into the end zone. Well, I've done that before and it doesn't end well, but yeah, just the little wins.
That's it, brother. The second question, it's a book recommendation.
Discipline is Freedom by Jocko Willink. That's like my favorite phrase ever. Just discipline is freedom. I mean, I'd recommend reading the book, but it kind of does what it says on the tin.
I was going to say, is it? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because and I've had this as well, because there's certain books that might be one where you kind of summarize it in 2 minutes, but I now see there's still a massive benefit of reading the book, because again, it's that repetition of getting the message over and over. Because how many times do you hear a cool insight and you're like, oh yeah, and then it's just not even integrated into your system.
Another one is like Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is like, oh, I've seen the cover now, I know that book. So you read it and then you realize that doesn't mean go through your life not caring about anything. It's like, if I'm going to focus on running now and I want to become the best ultra endurance runner and athlete that I could possibly be, and like, could I run a 300-mile race in the next couple of years and all these sorts of things, doing that and not giving a fuck. But by that, I would translate that to some stuff's going to have to give. I can't spend as much time with my friends or my family or my wife or my work. If you're going to go after this, you have to accept and not care of the repercussions. And there's a whole bunch of other like stories he tells through that take that narrative and framework, but to like a way that I wouldn't think about using it. Because I saw the cover, it's just like, oh, I'm just going to wake up and think, I'm just going to relax today. It's not going to not care about it. No, there's something to be said for that. Where everyone's got those like, and he describes that everyone's got those friends that like are super successful, they're in great shape, they're super happy, they have all of these things, but they just so lackadaisical about things. But then it's like, yeah, they're just doing what they can do. Everything else, they're not wasting energy thinking about like stuff they can't control. But yeah, Jocko Willink, Discipline is Freedom.
Wicked. Yeah, we'll put that in the description. And yeah, the final one comes in from a member of our community, and this one comes in from Shan, who asks, what was the biggest self-imposed restriction that ever stood in your way, and how did you overcome it?
That's a really good question. You have to drink to have fun.
And I imagine that was the narrative you were telling yourself since you probably started drinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go to those places and do that without alcohol. You can't go to a wedding sober. When I stopped drinking in that year, we had like 11 weddings. There was some I had more fun than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I remember when I first started going on nights out sober and people being amazed. It's like, what? Are you taking something for you to dance this way? And I'd end up having more stamina than the guys who were drunk, because they would end up drinking.
Yeah.
And then they'd had like a big crash from alcohol and go home. And I'm just there like, well, come on. I'm there with my, I think at the time it was Diet Coke or something. And I've had my caffeine here and I'm like, yeah, let's go,
Yeah. What's the biggest self-imposed restriction?
The biggest self-imposed restriction that ever stood in your way, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think alcohol would be just the one in general. Overcome it through working with, I guess, spending a whole bunch of money on therapy with a coach to understand why I drank alcohol. And turns out for me, it was just a solution to a problem. And it actually is. It's just not a very good solution. Is understanding like, why do you want to drink? Why do you binge drink? Yeah, I'm going to noodle on that question overnight.
It's a I think a lot of men will relate to that because, again, I think because it's so ingrained in our culture, you don't think drinking is like a problem, or I think very often we're kind of in denial or not even aware that it's a problem. But when you look at the amount that guys are drinking, I mean, I certainly, like at university, I could easily tie that down to, it's just having fun, you're partying a lot, but
Everyone's doing it.
man, when I look at the amount I was drinking, I'm like, whoa, like what was I actually trying to feel there? What was I trying to feel? And I think it takes you kind of have to have that spur within you to go, actually, I want to find answers for myself. And so was a therapist or a coach, was that like the natural step for you? Did you always want support?
No, it was like completely out of my comfort zone. It was like all new. But that was a complete game changer. Like, highly recommend. Just understand stuff, like why you do these things, and you need to look around. And over a period of time, I would start looking at how people are living their lives and what they're doing, and I'd like to think in a non-judgmental way. The way they were behaving and acting out, I was like, oh, that's what I used to do, and that's because I felt like this. And you can like spot it, and it becomes so obvious. And it's like, so hang on, you're going to work like 40 to 60 hours a week, and your only enjoyment is going to have beers with your friends in the pub on a Saturday or Friday, and then be hungover on Saturday, and then have a little bit of time on Sunday. And you're going to do that for your whole working life. And then you retire with a little bit of money, and then you die. I don't want to do that. But this is how huge amounts of people live their life, because everyone else has done it. It scares the fuck out of me.
Well, it all comes back to the awareness piece again, and it's interesting you're saying it scares the hell out of you, because I think one of the questions I asked my previous guest was like, what's the biggest fear that you have? And for him, it was actually blending into the crowd, and it was actually being the same as everybody else. That was his biggest fear. And I think, again, because I've always seen it, when you follow the crowd, it's like, I've always seen it as you're not going to make changes, that's for sure. You're not going to, I think, be the fullest expression of yourself. Yeah. So I think we've almost got to do the opposite of what we're told to do or think we have to do sometimes. Yeah.
It's, but it's uncomfortable to stand out and to be the kind of like black sheep, or, stand out from the crowd. Like, I can go off on a rant on this, but how it's how the world is set up to people to conform, to be obedient, and all these sorts of things. Everyone else is doing it, so might as well join them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think it's just cool to point out, I think the kind of therapy coaching stuff, I mean, for me, it's like, I always see these things as like, what a great opportunity, what a great investment in ourselves. But I also appreciate for a lot of guys, they might hear that and think there's like almost like a taboo. It's like, like therapy, I understand, but actually the amount of power it gives you, you've got the right one, and you can just have that awareness and understand yourself better. And
it's I went through phases of being like, okay, cool, fixed now, better, done. But then it's like, could I be better at this? Could I keep working at this? Same with like whether it be fitness or running or business or golf or whatever the thing is. Like, in what other aspect of my life would be happy to get to like an okay standard, then call it a day? Never. So why would I want to do it about myself and how that plays out into other things? So it's the best investment you can make. Like, and again, a few years ago, I wouldn't have been comfortable talking about this. I wouldn't have been open about it. Would have kept it a bit of a secret, a bit taboo, all these sorts of things. And now it's like, who cares?
Yeah, that's it.
And actually, like being more like open, and I said earlier, so maybe not that vulnerable, but being more open, vulnerable, sharing things I want to do, things I want to achieve, what I think about. and someone said this to me in Marathon des Sables, someone you meet and you just click with instantly. It's like, we have such a short amount of time on the planet, you have to be so unapologetically yourself and make no apologies for that. So you end up meeting and people that you want to be with. Whereas someone goes, oh, do you like going out on Fridays and getting drunk and talking nonsense at a pub with people you have nothing in common with? It's like, that's my idea of hell. I want to go and do something that sounds terrible on the face of it. Like, let's go and see how far we can run in 24 hours. And someone goes, that sounds amazing. Like, just to be, unapologetically yourself, that people then sort of go, oh, I can buy into that. Yeah, I think the same. And it just, again, helps people self-select on, not interested in what that guy has to say. It's like, that's cool. Like, much better we know that now.
Yeah, well, we speak the same language, brother. 100%. Ivor, inspiration, man. This has been wicked conversation.
Thank you.
We'll put I assume your donation link will still be live for a while, so we'll put that in the description. Where else can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Instagram, Ivor_Stratford is probably the best place. More stupid running stuff coming up. Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Most welcome.
Thanks, dude.